What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome back to the Draft League Viabilities. In this episode, we're going to be covering something that I think is actually the most viable thing that could be added to Draft League format. Now, before anybody gets their panties in a bundle, my opinion. Remember that thing that you come here to watch because for some reason you like me, which I love and makes me very appreciative? This is my opinion, so if you have a different opinion, just make sure you leave a comment down below for me. The mon that we are going to be talking about today is, in fact, Darkrai. Now, this mon is basically a Weavile. However, it has insane coverage. If you don't know the type of coverage that Darkrai has, basically it gets Volt Beam, it gets Sludge Bomb, it gets Dark Pulse, obviously, it gets Sucker Punch, Knockoff. It actually gets Unstab Dragon coverage in Spatial Rend and Roar of Time as well. It gets access to Taunt, it gets access to really cool things. However, all that together make it just a very good late cleanup mon. The thing that makes this thing, in my opinion, very viable is the fact that it doesn't get U-Turn, it doesn't get Baton Pass. So you can't just send it in and get out. Send it in, get chip damage, get out. It's you're in, and you have to hard switch out. You're going to take hazards, Life Orb, you're going to take all this other stuff. So once you're in, you want this thing to stay in. However, Darkrai does have a signature move. It's called Dark Void. It's the most broken thing about Darkrai. So, if you want to incorporate this thing, ban it. We ban abilities. We ban items. Why not ban one specific move to allow something new into the format? I've thought this way about so many mons, but I definitely think Darkrai is the prime example of how this thing could benefit from it. Like, let's look at it this way. This thing has the special attack stat that Megalopony has an attack stat. So, realistically, we have things that hit just as hard. This thing is the same base speed tier as Weavile, and has just a little bit stronger special attack than Weavile does physical attack. However, Darkrai does not rely on things like Knockoff. So it relies on coverage moves. So therefore, if you have a good switch into Dark Spam, and then you can take other coverage moves, it's actually not that hard to switch into it. Since this thing is such a high base speed tier, it's not going to be running Scarf more than likely, so a Scarfer will outspeed it. If it has Life Orb, it's going to be taking Life Orb Recoil, and if it's going to be Choice Locked like Choice Bandit or Choice Specs, which if you run Choice Band Darkrai, you're a lord and I love you. However, then it's Choice Locked, and then it's much easier to switch into, and then you're going to force it to take more Rocks damage if you have Rocks up, and it's weak to Common Priority in Mach Punch, and it's also weak to U-Turn, so a Scarf U-Turner will really hurt this thing. The one thing that I can say has me a little bit on the fence, like, if there was anything to say that this thing might not be too healthy for Draft League format, it's the fact that it gets Nasty Plot. Okay. Hold the phone. So say this thing has Nasty Plot, it's going to have Dark Pulse for general coverage, and then it's going to have more than likely Sludge Bomb to hit fairies that are coming in. This thing cannot hit Steel types, aside from Focus Blast, which we all know misses a lot, and there are Chople Berries, which a lot of us have grown to love on our Steel types and our quad weak to fighting types. Shout out to Tyranitar. There are ways to get a Steel type in. Thunder Wave it, make it slow, make it easy revenge kill. There are ways that this thing can be worked around. Prankster Thunder Wavers are a big one because there's a couple good ones in the format like Klefki, Thundurus. If you really want to go low tier, you could say Lipard, you could even say like Mega Bayonet, things of that nature, but there are things that can slow this thing down. There are things like Clefable, which even though it gets Sludge Bomb and can hit very hard, Clefable can live a Sludge Bomb. Even if it's modest Life Orb, physically defensive Clefable can live a Sludge Bomb. It can then Thunder Wave it, and then it can Moonblast, hit it very hard, and then go from there. While this thing also gets Bolt Beam, walls like Suicune, Hippowdon, things that are just generally especially bulky can help take this thing on. Things that are kind of sort of fat on both sides, like Ferrothorn, again Focus Blast, but things get coverage like this all the time, they're just not as fast. I realize that. That's something that makes this thing very good. However, you also have to take into consideration the fact that if many mons can live one hit, imagine what a berry can do. You can expect certain moves on this thing most of the time. And once it's in, It can either force you to switch out into one of your walls to take it on, or you can force it out to take something else to take massive damage. If you have walls with a reliable recovery, you can recover up on other things, or if this thing is like choice specs and you can recover up on it because you resist the move it locked itself into, there are a lot of things that this thing might be able to be worked around, at least in my opinion. Again, things that make this thing broken: Dark Void, that's the main thing. So if I were to make this thing legal, ban that. However, Nasty Plot does make it very, very, very good. However, we have things that are much fatter and get better setup, aka Manaphy. Manaphy is base 100s and has Tail Glow and Calm Mind. This thing is weak to U-turn, is weak to Mach Punch and things of that nature, has less bulk, and cannot set up to +3 in one hit. So it might not be impossible to switch into. Overall though, I think that Darkrai would just be an amazing, specially offensive mon. I feel like it would be a faster Hydreigon and a little bit more hard-hitting Hydreigon, but even then, Hydreigon gets insane coverage like with Draco Meteor, so even then, Draco Meteor from a Hydreigon might actually hit harder. So remember how I said this thing needs a little bit of team support and needs everything to be weakened a little bit? Again, I would probably draft something that can get up a lot of hazards, something like a Nidoqueen, something that can get up Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes, because once something is toxic, it takes general damage every single turn, whether Darkrai is in or not. So that means if you can drop Darkrai in after something is weakened, you're good to go. Another thing that's really cool about Darkrai is the fact that if you have a slow Volt Switcher or a slow U-turner, and you drop this thing in after the Volt Switch damage, a lot of things might be in range of a hit or two, so it could be a thing to invest in. Since this thing is weak to Common Priority and U-turn, Zapdos matches up absolutely amazing with Darkrai because it resists Mach Punch and U-turn. So that would be a really cool matchup with this thing, along with the fact that it does get access to Thunder Wave to slow things down, and Volt Switch, and U-turn, and Defog, and Roost. One more really important thing, in my opinion, to have with this is a very, very good Steel type. And I mean something like Registeel, to where it's not quad weak to Flamethrower, so it can switch into Fairies decently well, can whittle them down pretty easily. Things like Jirachi, you can have a slow U-turn or a Rock Setter and a really good Steel type to take those Moonblasts, mainly because Moonblasts are the main things that are going to be coming at Darkrai, since Fairies are going to be the main switch into Dark Stab. That's just the way that it is. I think that's the main way to build around it, and I think that it could work out pretty well, and I don't think it would be broken, and I truthfully do not think it would be broken. However, remember, as I said, this is my opinion, so if your opinion differs, make sure you get onto the comment section and leave a comment as to what you think. But that's basically it on Darkrai. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like before you go. Also, make sure to go down to the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Darkrai in the whole aspect of what this thing could do in the format with or without Dark Void. One last thing to note, I'm going to be probably going back to regular mons within the next week, maybe two, so make sure you guys leave some more comments as to what you guys would like to see covered. I still have the entire list on my phone, and I'm going to be covering some of those as well. However, I still want to know what some of you guys think. I've grown a lot since this series started, so if you guys are new and you want to see a mon that you haven't seen done on the series yet, make sure you leave a comment and let me know. But with all that, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.